All right. Welcome to our Working with Portraits webinar designed for the Memory Book Online and will be to focus on functions of the program associated with student portraits. Specifically, we printing class sheets for other teachers or parents to review and correct, strategies for detecting duplicate images, correcting student names, categorizing students, and then finally using the flow function to create portrait pages. So this webinar, minutes, we're going to go ahead and get started here. So where I am, when, or if you've already set off your class, if you're getting a direct link from LifeTouch or something like that from a photographer, okay, I just got someone that said I can't hear you. Is everybody, oh, let me switch up here. Can everybody else hear me okay? I'm getting one person that, okay, not sure what's going on. So am I going in and out, or is it just different here? Or I'm just... I just undid the whole thing and pushed it back in. Can everybody hear me okay now? Okay. All right. Put my cord over like so it doesn't move anywhere. Okay. So it did. So am I cutting back out, or am I... headset here, so put it forward. Okay, so now everyone here. Okay. Hold on just a moment. Okay, folks, how are we doing now? Okay, switch over to a different headset here. Okay, so I'm on a completely different headset, so this should go better. Okay, so as I was saying, there's by grade, which is everybody in one grades in one folder. There is also by teacher, kind of which how I have mine sorted here, where it's kind of broken up by individual class. Now, once you get that notification, so again, we're under the create menu, we're in the image library. So once you get that notification, to review your classes here, you're just simply going to click on a category, and then you're going to go up and hit the preview button. And that's going to generate just a composite proof that you can then print out or send digitally to your teachers or parent volunteers, or maybe you have student volunteers that are helping on the yearbook. So at that time, they would go through, check and compare this against their class list just to make sure, is this student in my class? Is their name spelled correctly? So once you get those back is really when you can start on some of your editing stuff that you have. So if, for instance, if you get something back and you need to do a name change, you can go under the photo, and I'm just going to double click on the photo. And to edit a name, here's the name tag here on the preview window. We'll go under this little pencil icon here. It's going to give you a little warning that this should only be used to correct a misspelled name. We're going to continue. And let's say instead of Marie, what if it was just Mary? And I'm going to hit save. And then the name is now updated on the tag. So updating names, pretty simple. Remember, just double click on the photo and look for that edit pencil there on the name tag to then change your name. Now, another thing that you could find on these class sheets is what if the certain student is supposed to be in another class? Well, this one has, I just kind of put numbers on them, just kind of help me with grades, because you can further edit your categories once they're uploaded. So this one I have Applegate 5, just let me know this was a 5th grade class. So what if one of these students then had to be in the other 5th grade, or different kind of class like that, or maybe they're in the wrong grade period and they need to go to one of the other grade levels. To move a student or organize them, you're just going to drag and drop them over to the folder that they need to be in. And then once we get to that other folder, they'll then sort themselves alphabetically from there. So reorganizing, super simple. You're just going to drag and drop the student into the class folder that they need to be in. Now, as far as organization, that's pretty much what we can do here in this area is edit names, make sure that they're in the right class folders. Now, from here, kind of some other things that we can go over is checking for duplicates or anything like that. A lot of times, and I'm going to come back to this later because there's obvious duplicate image right here. Sometimes it may be a retake or something like that. But I'm going to take a break from the image library just a moment, and I'm going to go under create into the coverage report. Now, when your class photos upload to the program, all those tagged names will then come also into the coverage report, so you can see your whole name list that is here. And this is a good way for checking last names and that to kind of go down through. Do you have duplicates? If you have the same name twice, so you could go through this way and check for duplicates, just an easy, quick way to do that. You can also edit names in this area too. So right here on this third line, this was that Mary Abney that we changed from Marie to Mary. So if we want to change this back, we can easily just change it back to Marie here. Now, any changes that you do in the coverage report then will update and reflect in the image library and vice versa. So that change that we did in the image library then showed right here on the coverage report. So this is just one area. You're really not going to spend too much time in this area, but it's a good way to kind of help look for duplicates, if you're catching double names. It's also a quick way to, if you're doing teacher lists, it's also a quick way to get in here and edit someone's name. So I just wanted to show that to you real quick. So then I changed this name back to Marie. So if we go back under create into the image library, well, the name changed back to Marie here on the photo as well. So I just want to kind of show you that as far as catching duplicates and editing names. That's just another area where the coverage report can help. Okay, so let's assume that you've gotten your classes back, you've got everyone in the right folder, you've edited names to the best that you can, or that at least was given to you on your class list coming back from the teachers. So now it's time to flow these students onto pages. So I'm going to find a spot on my page ladder here, find a blank open template here. I'll just go here. Okay, so there's a couple different things that we're going to be looking for, and a couple different ways that we can go about flowing. The first and easiest is going under the Designs tab. And when we go under the drop down, we're going to go under Portrait. And here are all of our portrait categories. And these are all portrait templates that will be used for flowing. They are first sorted out by size of photo box. So 4.4 by 6 pica, that's a pretty small photo box, and it works up in box size. And then they're resorted again by the number of photos. Now, when looking for a template to use on your class pages, what we suggest is to select a template based on your largest class size. So if most of your classes, are in the lower 20s, maybe they get up to 24, but then you have a class that's like 26 or 27, you'd probably find a template based on that group of 27, and that way having that size template then just ensures that all your photos are going to be the same size. You'll be consistent throughout your pages, and that you have enough spots. Now, one thing I did not check before I came up here was how many were in the group that I was going to flow. So I'm going to go back to the image library real quick just to check on something. Okay, that group has 39. Okay, so I'm going to go back under Portrait, and I'm going to actually look into the 31 to 40 photos. And so when you hover over a template here, it kind of previews it off to the side. All right, so I can't pick a template like that, but there's plenty of templates in here to kind of look at. Just drag and drop one over. So that's one way that we could start. We could just start with a template right here. And now with the pre-made templates, all you really have to do here is once you have your templates all on the pages that they're at, you'll actually come down here to Flow. And from the category, you're going to category drop down, you're going to pick the class that you're going to flow. Then you come down to name format. It defaults to first name, first, last. But sometimes people do put it in still last, first for that. It's going to tell you how many images are in that folder. So I guess I could have come here earlier instead of going all the way back to the library. So it's going to tell you I got 39 images, 39 remaining. And then we come to this spot that's called Start and Stop. Now, what the start and stop is, this is the page you're starting on, and this is the page that you're stopping on. So for smaller classes, smaller schools, smaller classes, most of the time you're going to get by with just one class per page. Now, we do have some middle schools that are memory book schools. So if you are one of those advisors with a middle school and like a large class of, maybe you have like a large, 300 student class in 6th grade, maybe 300 then again in 7th and in 8th. On a flow like that, you basically would just drop the same template over the amount of pages that the class is going to go over. And your stop would be whatever that page ends on. So let's say that you have, in another example, if you have a huge, 200 to 300, student class, and let's say it's going to go over 4 pages. So we drop our template on 4, 5, 6, and 7. So your start would be 4. Your stop would be that last page that they'll flow onto is 7. But in this case, we're just going with 4 and 4 because that's where we're at. Now, once all this information is correct, this part right here that says available positions should light up in white. Now, in this case, it's not. It's in red. Now, some things that you have to do if you bring a template on, before, if you do any changes to the template or bring on a different template, the program will want you to save the page before you flow into it. So in this case, I'm going to go up and hit save. Okay. So now I still am showing 35 available positions. So I'm a few positions short here. So that's why it's still showing in red. So this is going to leave me to find a different template to use here. Now let's just change that. Maybe I'm going to go up one level, grab a different template. Here we go. I'll just go with something like this. So I'll go back to flow. Oh, I'm going to save. Okay. So now that I picked a different template, our available position spot has lit up for us. So once this is lit up, it's in white. This is letting us know that we have met all the requirements. So templates on the page is saved. We have our category. We've got our start and stop. So all we have to do from here is go down and hit flow. And that's going to bring in the students and their tagged names onto the page all at one time. Now, if you do flow on and you see some things that are, maybe you see, okay, well, my teacher should have flowed to the first spot. I'm now seeing a duplicate. And I probably, before I flowed, maybe I wanted to change the font on the names or anything like that. So let's go at what happens. If you just flow right off the bat, you notice these things that you want to change. Where do you go next? So if a flow doesn't go the way that you want it, all you have to first do is go back over to the flow tab, make sure that category is selected, and then you're going to come down and there's a reset button right next to your flow button. So you're going to click reset, and that's just going to pull everybody back out. Now, the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back under the create menu, and we'll look at the changes that we want to do with our category. All right, so we've got our Applegate category up here. So I only need one of these images. So kind of in this example, it's kind of like, what would you do with a retake image of a student? Or you might just have a duplicate on some indexes. So to take care of a duplicate or a retake, you're going to go to the copy that you're not wanting to use. You're going to double click on it. It's going to come up in this image preview window. You're going to go under the Details tab. And the second spot down where you see use portrait, you're just going to change that to don't use portrait and then apply changes. So again, you're double clicking on the photo, you're bringing it up into the images tab here. Second spot down, just change that to don't use portrait and then apply changes, and then we can hit done. So basically on certain cases, if this were a retake, this is how you would kind of handle it. You'd mark it as do not use. That way the copy is still in the program. We've had cases before where maybe a parent's come to the advisor and we're like, well, we know he's got a retake and an original. We really like the original more than the retake. Could you please use this one? And it's a quick way to where, the advisor still has both images in here. They can then just simply mark which one that they don't want to use. So in the event, that's going to be safer to do mark it as do not use than if they were to just have deleted the image. Then deleting it, that'd probably be a call into us to restore the photo, or in some cases going back to the photographer if we did not upload your photos from there. So good thing to do, just mark it don't use, and that's going to tell the program to skip that during the flow. Now, another thing that we wanted to do here was we wanted our teacher to flow in the very first spot. So our teacher here, we're going to go double click on her image. We're going to go back under details. And now we're looking at the third spot down that says for type. And we're going to change that from student, because every image class photo that uploads into the program is going to have a type of student. But then there's 3 others in the hierarchy that we can choose from. So the teacher hierarchy, so any image marked as teacher, this is going to flow to the front of the group. Assistant falls next in line. So photos marked assistant will flow after teacher, those marked with teacher. Student is the third, and then other is very last. So we have seen some cases before. Like in my example, I'm going to show you is I'm going to flow the teacher to the front of the group. We have had schools that will flow the teacher at the very end of the group. So in case you want the teacher to flow very last, you would then mark them as other. But we're going to mark it as teacher so we get them to flow to the front. And then we're going to apply changes. And done. Now, we marked our teacher to flow first, but as you can see here in the library that the teacher is still in alphabetical order, which is correct. We will see the teacher take the first spot once we get back to the page and we pull up the flow. All right, so now that we have our teacher changed, we have our duplicate marked. So once you get any of your further editing done, we can then go back to the page. So we're going to go back under to New Page Designer. And we're back on our page here. So we can then just come back over to Applegate and make sure, still have our name format. We still have our start and stop. And then we're going to hit flow. And now we see our teacher take the first spot. We only have one image of Marie Abney. And then here's all the rest of the class that is here. Now, some of you may be wondering just kind of what that red X is about. So that red X means that not all of their name is showing. So there's a couple different ways that we could go about fixing that. One thing I did want to show you, and I'm going to reset the flow real quick here, is that before flowing, you can actually adjust some of the way the photo boxes look and how the names look here on the page. So if we select and the grouping of student photo boxes here, this is what we call a flow element. So if you click on the flow element, you're then able to change the names to any other font that you have in your collection here. You can change size. You can even change color. I don't like that. I'm going to go back. Okay. So that's changing and working with your fonts. Now another thing is if you wanted to change the photo boxes, you can go under flow options. And I'm going to unpin that menu, move it over here. So portrait shape, we could change that to circle. If you wanted that, diamonds, and all the other different photo boxes that we have here. So trapezoids. So that's just one little different way you do things. Let's see here. What else can we do? If we wanted to put a small stroke around those. Okay. So any adjustments that you do to the flow element. So after you're done, changing the font, the box, if you do any kind of small editing, you'll need to go hit save after doing that. And then you'll be good to flow back in. So here's our flowed photos. Now we still have our red X's hit here. Now on the red X's, that just means that the name was too big for the text box that was there. On a fix like this, there's a way that you can expand this flow to then work with those boxes individually. Now to do that, you're just going to select your flow element, and then you're going to go under the flow options drop down. And there's a spot here that says expand flow. So what expanding the flow will do, it's going to release the individual objects in the flow element for additional editing. Now once you expand it, it takes away the reset and reflow ability for the group. So to fix the red X in the names, this is one thing that we actually suggest holding off doing until you're sure that you're not going to be resetting or reflowing the class anymore. So it's just one of those those fixes that may at times need to be kind of put on the back burner just to ensure, do you have all your class in? Maybe you get some transfers or new students that come in over the Christmas break or anything like that. You want to make sure they're included. Now, if you're at that point where, you're like, what, this is the class, this is the way it's going to be, I'm not making any more changes, then what you could do then is come under flow options. You'll go to expand flow, do the I understand checkbox, and then hit expand. Now at the point that you hit expand, when you click on images here, you're back to being individual elements. They're no longer a flow group. So with the names, a couple different ways that you could fix the boxes here. You could either make it a little bit wider, or if you wanted to bring it down a little bit deeper. And sometimes you may have to do both. But once you have the box large enough and the X goes away, then you fix the red X in the text box. And you'll just save when you're done. So that's really mainly the main things that we kind of see here when it comes to flowing. Again, you'll pick out a template based on your largest class size. Just make sure your start and stop is the page that you want to have a template that has enough spots. And really, if something flows on, maybe you want to try a different template. Maybe you notice some students out of order, or you have duplicates. Just make sure if the flow doesn't go the way that you want it to, just come back over to the flow and hit reset. And that's just going to pull everybody back out. Now, if you've expanded your flow and you want to start over with a new layout or anything like that, there's not a reset to pull everybody back out. At that point, it's just finding a new template and dropping it back over the page. So if we wanted to start over, we could just bring a new template over, hit no, and then go from there. Okay, so I have 3:30 on the money here. What I'm going to do is, I mean, we've gone through kind of everything that, going over class sheets, how to handle and kind of organizing your class photos, kind of what you're looking for in a template, and then flowing, and then how to fix a few flow corrections. So I'm going to get back on the main thing. Let's see, where did I go? I'm going to unmute if people want to unmute, but have a little bit of time. If anyone has any questions, go feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or put your question in the chat line, and do my best to go over it with you.
I have a question. Maybe it was when the mic was going in and out, I don't know, but when the pictures are transferred over, so I'm only doing a 5th grade memory book. Is it gonna my first question is it gonna transfer all of my pictures from Dorian? That's my first question. And my second
Okay,
question,
I'm barely hearing you.
oh, okay. I don't even know where the mic is on this thing. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but still kind of barely coming through there.
I don't know how to fix that. Okay, can you hear me? Here, I'm going.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So when the pictures transfer over from Dorian, how can, number one, will the entire school transfer, or can I only transfer 5th grade to the memory book is my first question.
So this is how you're getting your photos from your photographer?
Yeah.
I mean, that you'll discuss with them, but if they send you a link of your class photos, you're just going to forward that on to your sales rep, and we'll upload the class photos included in that link.
Oh, okay. And then when they download into the system, will they download all together, or will they download by teacher like how you're showing?
It depends on how and what information the photographer was able to include for you. So usually we upload by a text file or an index file, which basically it's a spreadsheet that you can open up in Excel. And it just depends on, because usually how it's set up, there's a column that has the image name, another column will have the student's last name, that column for first name, and then usually sometimes we're provided with 2 different sort columns. One's a grade level, where it'd be like 01, 02, K for kindergarten. The other column may be like Robert, Smith, Johnson, as far as who the teacher is. So if if the photographer has included both, that's great. You're just going to let us know how you want those sorted, either by grade level, to where they would all first graders do end up in one folder, or do you want them more broken down, which is by teacher, and that way they would get uploaded into individual folders per class at that point. So it's really just what the photographer gives you in the index for their class photos.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions on today?
No. They discontinue old designs and try to put up new.
I don't have a question, but I did want to say thank you because every question I had, you answered. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Welcome. Okay, so I did get one. Is there a magic undo button? I wish. Sometimes I wish on some of this stuff in here there is just to start over, but if you're talking about flowing or anything like that, or if a flow didn't go right, always look to your reset button. That just pulls the students back out. You can then drop in a new template or go make changes in that.
So
Okay.
one of those.
All right. So as far as flowing goes or anything like that, not seeing any more questions coming on that. So um, looks like we're probably at a good spot to wrap this up. So, thank you for joining me this afternoon. The demonstrations of the functions related to, creation of portrait pages should eliminate some of the trial and error that can occur when working on a yearbook. Printing your portrait sheets and editing class data ahead of time should result in better accuracy on some of the most important pages of your book. So again, we have a recording of this going out. So if there's anything we need to touch base over, we'll have that going out to you. So feel free, join us here in a couple weeks as we will be looking over the creation of activity and candid pages. So thank you again, everybody. Have a great rest of your afternoon today. All right, take care.
Thank you.